Good evening, everybody. I'm Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee, and welcome to Your Voice community discussion. We've been at this for the last number of weeks, really focusing in on the impact that the COVID virus has had on our state and on our communities. And we're going to continue that, but also we're going to start broadening it out. We've been able to start getting into phase 2 of our economic, reopening. And we want to make sure that we start focusing on the leadership that it's going to take to, get back to a spot and then even go beyond that for all of us, and in particular, some of the impacted communities that are being really negatively impacted for a number of reasons. And we're going to talk about that tonight. And we're also going to talk about specifically about, what's on the horizon over the next 72 hours in the state. As a state leader, we have to acknowledge that we got a challenge in front of us, and we need to calm the waters on these protests. But yet, at the same point in time, we got to make sure that the protests happen, because we got to listen and hear what is being said. So, that being said, Ben, I think that we let's bring Lisa in and let's start the conversation. And if Gary is able to join us, then that's fine. But we got plenty to talk about. Lisa, thank you so much for being here and your leadership on the Rhode Island Black Business Association, but also as a community leader and a professional in Rhode Island, and a background that, that I'd love to have you share with everyone. And then we want to talk about, we got to talk about, what's happening right now, but also we need to, as we talked earlier, we want to talk about what do we do about it, and what are we going to, what lessons are we learning? Maybe we're finally learning it, but that time will tell.
Sure.
So introduce yourself a little bit. And thank you for being here, Lisa.
All right. So thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor McKee. It is such a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invite. I'm certainly delighted to be here to talk about this very important issue. But just a little bit about myself. Again, Lisa Ranglin. I currently serve as founding president for the Rhode Island Black Business Association. I've been in this role for the last close to 10 years. And it's such a rewarding work that we're doing with the association. My professional background, when I'm not volunteering at the association, I'm a banker. I've been in the banking world, the banking industry for the last 21 years. I have a technology undergrad degree and a master's degree in human resources. So again, I have a wealth of knowledge in terms of not just being the president of the association, but also from a professional standpoint, whether it's around technology arena or whether it's around the regulatory compliance space from a banking perspective.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of work. We're working with many business associations right now, Lisa, all around the state, from down in Westerly, out in Foster, Gloucester area, down in the Newport area, in the Providence area, and as well. And share with me with some of the businesses that you are, working with. It takes a great deal of leadership to keep an organization together for that many years. And tell us a little bit about the makeup of the association and the type of businesses that you're dealing with every day in that capacity, but also as in the banking capacity that you have professionally.
Yeah, so I'll speak. I'll focus on the work that I do with the business association. So, from a small business perspective, our population is really around your mom and pop shops. Some are large companies, up to 25 or 50 employees. The bulk of the companies that we're currently serving at the association are anywhere from 9 or less employees. So 9, down to 1, just a sole proprietorship. So again, as you can imagine, dealing with a small business population with not just historically that these companies are under supported, lack of access to capital or technical assistance and different things to grow, but again, coupled with dealing with all kinds of different issues, whether it's COVID or other aspect of just operating a business. So we've pretty much focused on scalability of these companies. The goal is really to grow these companies, and we focus, primarily in the urban core. So whether it's your Providence, Pawtucket, Central, Fall, Woonsocket, we also look at the urban core section of Newport and in East Providence. But again, we are the Rhode Island Black Business Association. So if a business owner comes to us, regardless of location, we're there to provide them with needed service. So what we typically do is really do a deep dive and assess the company where they're at from a current state today, and then kind of have conversation and understand what they want to do from a growth perspective, and then basically partner with them to develop a plan to really scale. And really, again, it's really around revenue, job creation, and creating wealth. So that's really our focus point.
What is their needs right now? Coming, going 10 weeks now into the COVID with the shutdown, with the reopening. Can you kind of capitalize? Give a little summary about what are their needs right now?
Yeah. So, I mean, absolutely. Thanks for that question, because again, when we're talking about small business, some of these companies, specifically looking at the Black business population, some of their income from a receipt perspective is probably under $100,000, right? So if you're talking about COVID hit probably the first week of March. Most of these companies are actually, they were closed for the last say 6 to 8 weeks. So as you can imagine, the impact is tremendous, specifically around cash flow, right? So the fact that COVID came and companies are closed, their bills still need to pay, right? They still need to pay their employees. They still need to pay their rent or mortgages or what have you. So they still have to make payroll. So as you can imagine, with a very, very, very tight cash flow, with not having revenue coming in, the biggest impact that we heard from businesses, they were looking for emergency funds, right? We need to make a payment. We need to do this. We need to do that. And we are not, in some cases, bankable, right? So what we try to do, we do have a loan fund, a small loan fund at the association. We do lending anywhere from $500 up to $10,000. Interest rate as low as 1.75. So we do encourage business owners that are out there that are deemed unbankable currently. One of the good things that we do with the association, if a company comes in and they're deemed not bankable for the larger banks or credit unions, our goal is really to work with that company to get them at scale so they become bankable and can be participate in any financial institution. But again, if they need any sort of emergency funding or small amount of money for cash flow, we're there to provide that if they need it.
Yeah, and I think I think we're going to hit a wall of reality very shortly with these small businesses that we're asked to shut down to keep us healthy, and we're going to see how important they are to the fabric of our community, whether it's your association or other small businesses out there.
Absolutely.
That's why I've been saying that. Look, we have $1.25 billion. It's an allowable use, Lisa, to grant out to businesses that on their cash flow cost up to that, and based on the fact that they were asked to close, and we haven't been able to really make an impression on the governor that's a critical thing. I was on a call today with a daycare center in a Johnston area.
Yeah.
And a young lady, a couple of young kids. They just opened up a year ago. They just bought the business, which is a substantial amount of money, and no revenue. And she's in tears.
Oh, sure.
And those stories, I think, are really important. And I would, I'd ask you to, as you reach out to your business association, we want to highlight those stories, because when they tell their own, story, their own circumstances. Absolutely. That resonates. But you must have a number of people that are in that spot that are just scrambling right now. Somebody that's a small business making a couple thousand, $3,000-$4,000 a month in revenue, a week in revenue, they have a very thin margin. Absolutely.
And I think, to your point earlier, right, the goal is to ensure that we're intentional in the work that we're doing. So when we think about some of the issues that these companies are facing, you're absolutely right? They don't have a huge cash flow. They don't have a great wealth from a family perspective, somebody to borrow that funds from. So I think we really have to ensure that we're providing these companies with support. Again, it has to be, working for all companies, not just for some companies. So it's really critical that we're ensuring that we're intentional in making sure that we're reaching out to these companies.
Yeah, and I want to, Lisa, that's kind of right where we are right now, and you got some thoughts about, just the challenges that the Black community has, in particular, where you're working with the Black business owners, and how to move on from there, right? I did want to bring up the article I read. We talked about, we gave a little chuckle about, but it's true, right? The headline, I'm seldom considered suite roles. Tell us what a C-suite role is, and tell us, put it in context of what I just said, how difficult it is uh, to actually advance and get an income, and work on a level playing field. So
Yeah, so thanks thanks for that question. So I actually wrote that article a few years ago, specifically around highlighting the difficulties that women of color, in particular Black women, have as we think about moving up the corporate ladder. So some of us may hear about diversity and inclusion. We hear about getting more women in leadership. And in most cases, what we see, there's a missing action as it relates to women of color, particular Black women. So again, as I mentioned earlier on top of the hour, I've been in the banking world for the last going on 21 years. And when I look at career mobility, that's a challenge, right? So what we need to ensure that is that we're creating pathways. We're creating stretch assignments, rotational assignments for women of color so they can really move up into the decision-making role. So when we think about C-suite role, we're talking about any title that starts with a C. So it could be your chief operating officer, it could be your CFO, it could be your CEO. So it's really around anyone that has a title that starts with a C. Chief of this, chief of that, that kind of thing, right? So it's really your senior leaders, folks that are in the decision-making roles in organization, whether it's in nonprofit, city government, state government, or private sector. I think, it's a challenge, not just in any single industry. I think it really requires intentional work for us to get women of color, men of color into leadership ranks. Again, we have to be intentional. In most cases, these individuals are in these organizations working today. And what it requires for us to do broadly is we partner with HR and recruiting professionals is really to think about, look at your job specs. Is that job that you're advertising, does it really meet what you're looking for, right? Because some of these job specs are designed to really, I would say, keep people back and keep people out, right? Or not being considered. So, as we think about where we are with COVID, as we think about where we are with the state of Black in America and just the lack of access, a level playing field, I think this is a time for us to really think about how we create a more equal, a more just society, not just for some of us, but for all of us.
Yeah, I'm going to get to Gary on that, but this moment, are you aware of any places that do it better than we do it? Or is this a problem that needs to be solved across the board everywhere?
I think it's everywhere. I just, finished my my master's thesis very recently, and my study, my final paper was really around mobility of women in the workplace, looking at companies across the state. And I did lots of research and looking at that. It's not unique to Rhode Island. It's an issue not just here in America. It's an issue globally. But I can tell you that when we have intentional work, one of the things that the association is doing, we're kicking off an emerging professional program, and that is to partner with companies in our state today that is ready, that is willing, and said they want to diversify their leadership team. This 7 months program that we're designing, that we're hoping to kick off in another month or so, that will identify top performer within these companies today that are ready. And we're going to put these individuals through a 7 months program. And then the goal is to get them into rotational assignment, get them into stretch assignment, but move them up the corporate ladder. Again, if you're not being seen and you don't have a mentor or a sponsor and nobody's there advocating for you, it's very difficult for women of color or men of color because their network is very small. So, and hence it requires really intentional work around looking at your recruiting processes, looking at your job description and reevaluating that, and making sure when you're recruiting that you're going outside of your comfort zone and reaching out to community organization that may be able to help you recruit, may be able to help you go to a different well, if you will, for a lack of a better word, and go to schools where they have diverse candidates. But in most cases, these people that I'm talking about, they're in these organizations today, but they're untapped.
Yeah, so last question for you, Lisa, and stick around because I want to get back to you about some of the other things that we've talked about, but I do want to talk to Gary. But last question to you. So are people listening to that story? And why, tell me why some people slough it off as not being true or accurate. And then what do you want to say to, what do we do to kind of, put a shed of light on the truth of the matter? And give me some ideas on that, because people push back and say, oh no, they just work a little harder, and
Yeah.
so either they'll get there, or maybe the parents need to do a little better job, or
Well, I can share my personal story, right? I was born and raised in poverty. I gained my wings through education, right? I'm a woman. I have a bachelor's degree in computer science. I have a master's degree, and yet I'm on tap. So it has nothing to do with whether you are from a single home or whether you're from a two-parent household or what have you. It's really around biases, right? So when we think of people of color, we said they're not good enough. They're not this, they're not that. But I can tell you from research, there's plenty of research out there that talks about when companies are diversified, they outperform their competitors. So again, the business case for diversity and inclusion is pretty simple, right? If you're willing to grow and you want to grow your revenue and you want to really outperform your competitors, it's a critical business element for you to say it's no longer a nice thing to do, right? Diversity and inclusion and having people of color in your organization, it's really no longer a nice thing to do. It is a business critical decision, and it should be a part of your prioritization. So when we think of strategic priorities, inclusion of people of color, a diverse workforce should be a part of the strategy from a growth span perspective when companies are looking to grow, whether domestically or internationally. Again, if you're looking to participate on the global front, you got to ensure that your board, your leadership team, throughout your organization, that you have people that represent the community that you serve in. Your workforce should be reflective of the community that you serve.
Yeah, we could keep this conversation going on for a while. Stick around.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about a couple other things, and including the idea of the education. Gary, you're here. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lisa.
Hey guys.
Gary, how are you doing today?
Hey Lisa, how you doing?
Hey brother Gary, how you doing?
All right, what a great show.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, we had a special show last night, talking about the urgency of the moment, and I want to be talking about that as well as the things that Lisa's talking about, which is so strategic, and to be, really put it on the table.
Right.
But give us a little update of what's happened in the last couple of, 24 hours. We've been working, trying to create this. We used that word partnership last night, right?
Right.
A true partnership,
Yep.
In the face of where we are right now. We're at a very, very critical point where we could either go very volatile, or we could, calm it down and we'll hear what you got to say. So tell us what's happened.
First, I want to say, Lisa, you're amazing. I love you.
Love you back, my brother.
You are an incredible woman. I can't wait to start working with you and bring you aboard what we're doing. We got some great plans, and I just want to tell you that I love you.
Right back at you, brother.
Your work ethic is sky high, man. And I just hope that we raise people like that, like you, in our communities. So
they're out there. We just got to find them, right? We got to be intentional. So I'm not any special. I'm not unique. There's a lot of amazing powerhouse in our community. We're just not seeing, and we need to change that. And I think we have to change, right? Right now is the time for us to change, and we got to do it. We can't go backwards, right? This is the moment. And I think all of us working collectively to do that, we can drive the change that we need to see in our state. It's an amazing state. I have not left in the last 35 years. it's a reason why I stayed here, because I think I'm in an amazing state. And I think we got to create the platform where all of us thrive, not just some of us.
Right. I think that's imperative. You're right. Um, I went on a journey with Dan yesterday, and I just was thinking about the most beautifulest things in the world. Where we took a walk, and I realized like all this property was vandalized, and I thought to myself like, I'm looking at Dan, and I'm like, wow, this thing got destroyed in a matter of minutes.
Mm.
You know, unfortunately, there was a protest, and the other part was the rioting and the looting. You know, only because there was a miscommunication between us and things of that nature that we tried to build that gap so these things don't happen. That's what I thought, and I talked to the governor and the lieutenant governor, and we talked about why these things happen, and we was going through briefly yesterday like a little summary of what happened, and we walked at the street downtown Providence, and I thought it was amazing. So, yeah.
Yes. So Gary, we talked yesterday. We know that there's many good people out there trying to figure out how to make sure the messaging is as strong as that it needs to be. But we also, and you were on the phone today with some people that I know in Newport, and they expressed their concern as small business owners down there that somehow that they're going to get hurt in these protests. And bringing it down to a personal level, as Lisa did, and explaining how fragile the businesses are that are, that she represents, and the Black Business Association. What are we, how are we gonna go forward? Calm it down. Business owners should not feel as though, especially a lot of small business owners. Lisa explained that most of the businesses that she's representing are 50 employees or under, and the majority of them are 9 and under, and their incomes are not so great that they can continue to absorb this. So how do we what's the plan that you think, and how are we going to bring people together, and also people in the Black community that are maybe out there trying to do the same thing? How are we going to bring it all together in a way that we protect the people that live in the state, and at the same time deliver the message that needs to be delivered? I'm not asking you to have the magic wand, but share with me what your thinking is on that, so that we can, get it out publicly right now.
Well, first, if I could do that, Dan, it'll be a lot of healing. It'll be like huge businesses, opportunities for people of color. It would be, one of the top. I would have training for financial literacy, for minorities. The list goes on, and Lisa would give a demonstration of one-on-one on classes, how to rebuild communities. And unfortunately, some of the small businesses, they caught the back of it. And, we're going to work together as a partnership to make these things happen. But the most important thing is inclusion. So the community and business owners, and make sure that people of color are inside this race. You know what I mean? Like, we have to start considering that we are, what are we, 6% of people of color in the state of Rhode Island that has small businesses. And, it's just unfortunate on both sides. But we've been feeling that pressure for a long time without revenue. And we can't continue this thing where the governor, the government is having funds, and, we got to spread that wealth and that love a little around so we can have an opportunity.
Well, to get there, we need to make sure that we walk in as adults, and then we're all on the same team, and the work that you're trying to do with others. I know others in the state are trying to do it, and hopefully we're going to be able to bring all those parties together.
Right.
Sure that what needs to be said, what Lisa talked about earlier in terms of, the opportunities that should be there across the board,
Mm-hmm.
and have for, hundreds of years. This is not just a new fad in the country. It
Right.
needs to be addressed. And in order to do that, like I've been mentioned here, we got to be all on the same side of the street.
Right.
Even protest. We're going to be all on the same side of the street. And the people who don't want to be on the same side of the street, they need to be fleshed out as the problem, regardless of their, the people who are discriminating against or being discriminated against. We got to figure it out. So tell us what you're thinking is going to happen. The governor did reach out to you today. We didn't have that information yesterday. And were you happy? Were you satisfied with where we are right now in that communication? Because I think that we talked about the fact that the top state leader needs to listen to all the sides, but they got to respect what they're hearing. Like I talked to Lisa earlier, I don't think a lot of people heard what she said. That's even listened to this broadcast.
Right.
And we got to keep on saying it. But I'm just saying, how do you break through? So tell us, give us just a little overview of where, are you moving ahead with the governor right now in a way that you feel as though it's going to work? And are you working also, because I know there's other people out there trying to do the same thing. Have we figured out a way to bring them all together?
Well, yeah, we're working on a plan now, but yes, I met with the governor earlier, and we were talking about some plans, some action plans, and because in the past, we know the past of the history with the minority, culture, and also, the culture of people. There's a difference between, people of color and African American or, Hispanic, to the difference of both parties. We're totally different. No, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but we're one as a race. So I don't want to make any disparities there. I'm saying that it's time for people of color to really, really understand what we up against. So I made that clear with the governor today.
Good.
That we need to be in this race.
Well, I've said and I don't, I certainly don't, as pretend that I know what it is to like walk in your shoes or Lisa's shoes, right? So,
yeah.
But I've been around the block a few times and rubbed elbows with many people. But even when I said yesterday that the real question that we need to ask right now and get past is, just the term Black Lives Matter really rubs some people the wrong way. And so when I said the main question that we need to answer publicly, all police officers, everyone needs to publicly answer this question in a one word. And there's only one word. You can't equivocate. You can't kind of like pile on to, that thing, or everybody matter. No. Black Lives Matter. That's a full phrase. That's a full sentence. Yes or no. And so even when I was saying that over the last 48 hours, and I've been saying it anyways, but more on a platform like this, the responses were, well, all lives matter. But they don't understand that you guys, I shouldn't say you guys, the Black community is not treated the same as the white community is, right?
Yeah.
So, and I say that in terms of hurdles. So tell me, how do we get past that issue? And I'm not expecting you or Lisa to solve that problem, but I think it's worth talking about. And then I'm going to go to Lisa and get her thoughts, because I think it's important to get off what we are right now, but continue to understand the next 72 hours, critical hours for the state of Rhode Island.
Absolutely.
Critical hours for the state of Rhode Island.
I agree.
And realize that. So when I say, look, yes or no, I think that's the extent of it. You don't need a long conversation. Yes or no. And so the people who listen to this right now, text in yes or no. Just yes or no. No other explanation, because until that happens, we're not going to realize that what you are saying is being heard.
Right. I think that, there's a huge part of disparity in the African American community, and Lisa's part of that solution to really rebuild. It's so much that she plays a huge part in the puzzle. And, I talked about it. Me and her spoke about it several times. And I think the uplifting, we must act fast. We must talk about things that make people uncomfortable, from, what we can do with some of that COVID money, and what could be, something that we could make something out of, So we talked about that several times.
Sure.
Yeah, Lisa, jump in here, and then I really want to kind of, get your thoughts on this, not just the short-term strategy, which I just talked about,
Sure.
but what are we doing interim and long-term? Please share,
Yeah,
talk a little bit about
absolutely.
what Gary said, but also, talk about this idea that you have that brings us forward.
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, again, we're in that time now where I think action is required, right? So we've done a lot of talking over the years, and we've done a lot of says we've made progress.
Mm.
When we talked about whether Black Lives Matter, this is not up for discussion or a conversation point, right?
Mm.
We know in our current state, Black Americans are not treated equally like white Americans. It's very simple. So when we say Black Lives Matters too, currently in the current state, we're treated like second-class citizen, right? We're invisible. We're not treated the same. We don't have the level of access to education, to job creation, to all of the things that a white American has, right? So we got to think about how do we level the playing field? It requires all of us needs to really be uncomfy with this situation where we are today.
Mm-hmm.
And we must be willing to say, you know what, this is wrong. There is no reason why a police officer should knee in a young man's neck, and he was murdered, right? That is unacceptable, and we cannot tolerate that. And we must, as a nation, we must recognize that is wrong.
That's right.
For us to heal, we're all hurting.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you that Black and brown folks have been hurting for years.
That's right.
Yesterday, my daughter walked into my office and told me that in first grade, that was the first time she encountered racism. A father told his daughter in the first grade not to be her friend. As you can imagine, as a mom, we want to protect her children. That started with my daughter in the first grade. And think of how many Black and brown girls and boys out there that are experiencing the same thing in first grade, kindergarten. We got to ensure that we're leveling the playing field for all of us, not just for some of us. And Lieutenant Governor, you're absolutely right. It's going to require all of us. We need private sectors, we need the government, we need civic leader, we need the community as a whole, but all of us must come together to drive changes, the changes that we need. We got to eliminate laws that are not working for all of us. We need to ensure that we have policies that work. We need to ensure that we move people from poverty to sustainability. We want to ensure that our children are getting high quality education, right? We want to ensure that we have high paying jobs. We want to lift the community up. It has to be a win for all of us, not just for some of us. So the people out there that are hearing my voice today, I encourage them, get mobilized, talk about racism, confront racism, and together we will drive the needed changes that we want to see in our beautiful state. If they want to get involved with the Rhode Island Black Business Association, they can contact our office, 401-383-1179, or our website, www.ri-bba.org. Again, we're looking for volunteers. We're looking for people that are intentional about breaking down barriers and open up opportunities for all of us. Again, we're kicking off some amazing leadership training program, financial literacy program, mentorship training program, and our core is business development. We want to ensure that small business are created jobs across the state. We know that small business historically create jobs nationwide, and we know with the right level of investment, all companies, including minority-owned businesses, can create needed jobs and can lift our community out of poverty into sustainability where we all thrive. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Lisa, thank you for being here. And, like that's what I was saying about the yes and no answer. That person, I won't even call him a police officer because he shamed the badge. And I have so much respect for the police that I've worked with as a mayor and now as a state officer. He would have answered no.
Right.
His answer was no. Black lives don't, right? And
Sad.
that's why I think it's so important that we ask ourselves that question. The last thing I wanted to talk about and open up the conversation, not right now, but Tana, let's have you back. But on education, you know, I really have pushed very hard, and politically it has not been a good spot. I mean, you know, every campaign I have people who want to protect the status quo, want to take me out of office because I want to push back to, you know, on the status quo. So how much are we willing to push the individuals and hold them accountable and push for the change that we need to provide the income opportunity for those who are not getting it? You know, so we know that the Black community has historically not received the education they needed. I coach kids that weren't ready for college, who I thought should have been 25 years ago, 20 years ago. They're still in my life today. And answer, you know, just, I think we need to answer that question, because how can you push back on when you're actually provided the opportunity for many, many young kids that you just talked about, and in the last 12 years we have, and yet you know, in a lot of ways institutionally, that work gets pushed back on in a way, and from the very communities that need it, right? The very leadership that needs to push hard against the status quo. How do we? You know, I think you.
So I can, I mean, when we think about you know, communities of color, right, and we think about people that are in need, you know, to push at, you know, it's like pushing up against the wind, right? So when we think about the status quo, we know that these programs in most cases are not working, but you have to understand the fear factor as well, right? So not everyone is bold and is going to push and challenge the status quo, right? But what we have to do, we have to really educate our community around, you know, high quality education should be for all children. It shouldn't be for some children, right? All of us want to live in a safe place. All of us want to be able to provide for our family. It's that simple. We want to be treated fairly. So, you know, we shouldn't be fighting anyone. We shouldn't be fighting anyone for equal access. So when you ask the question whether and not, you know, my background is quantifying things that is driving success. So the way that I lead, if you have a process in place today and it's not working, it's your job to assess it, determine if it needs to be eliminated, or can we save it with some enhancement? If not, it needs to go away. So to your question around the status quo, if those processes or laws or what have you are not working today, they need to be gone. And we need to ensure that we're evaluating end to end, right? We got to look at it holistically. What's working, what's not working, and what needs to be gone. So I believe in measurement. We got to be, if we can't measure something, then we can't hold anyone accountable. When I decided to go vote yesterday with my daughter, I made sure we looked and evaluated a candidate. In some cases, we did not vote for a candidate that did not do anything, right? We want to make sure that we're holding people accountable, and what they're doing has to be quantifiable, and it must be impactful to people's life. We got to change the trajectory of people's life, not just some people, but all of us. And we got to get rid of, you got to know a guy to get access, right? Access should not be bought. Access should be available to all of us, regardless of race or gender.
Yeah, I'm with you. So, you know, bring me into your world in terms of the business group. I'll bring you into the world of the work that I've done on education. And I certainly have some ideas to help the very things that you're talking about and have a track record of actually doing that. So
awesome.
Let's make sure we match. Gary, you get last word on this segment, and then I'm going to bring two Bernards and two of my friends that are out there.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
You're welcome, Lisa.
I just want to say that the press conference, it went great, you know, where they're setting it up for tomorrow. And, you know, we had the meeting about it, like I was saying earlier. I just want to, you know, make some change in our communities, not just talk about it. And I think tomorrow's going to be like a stepping stone to make change in our communities. So, you know, it's going to take place tomorrow, downtown Providence. And I just want to say that I'm looking forward to working with my fellow brothers and sisters and to make change of that, you know. So we have some huge, big ideas. And I mean, you know, I'm just happy even to talk about it. So, yeah.
Thanks, Gary. Thank
Yeah.
you, brother.
Yeah.
We'll talk. Well, that is an eye opener, and we're going to keep on talking, but we're going to start acting and making sure we calm the waters. Do everything we can to possibly calm the waters. If you're working out there and you believe that you're helping calm the waters, call us 222-2371. Call our office. We want you involved. We want to go out and listen to what you're trying to do so that we can communicate that, just like we did with Lisa and Brother Gary, right? So if you are working on things that are trying to create a calming of the waters, but at the same time understand that there's a need to be vocal and strong in the messaging, call us. We're very interested in talking to you and very interested in listening to you as well. So now I get the last 20 minutes or so, last 15, 20 minutes with two of my friends, two Bernards. We got Bernard Parsons, I believe, and we also have Bernard George. Hi, Bernard. How are you?
Hi, Dan.
Good to see you.
You too. You too.
Yeah, I want to go to Bernard George. Go to Bernard Parsons. And thank you both for being here. Two friends that we have did our best to make sure that we listen to you all the time. Bernard, give us a little overview of your New Bridges for Haitian Success. A little overview of we worked down. We're gonna have a picture of one of the rescue vehicle, and we've got a picture of us down at the United Nations just a month ago, about 2 months ago now. And then give an overview, because I wanted you to come on and talk about the work that you're doing in the community. You had me on with a call with several pastors yesterday, talking about specific needs, and I want to give you the opportunity to do that. So here's I guess that's the article that we talked about, that talked about an ambulance donated to the community in Belize that we were able to get the town of Lincoln to help us out with. But yeah, give us a little overview. There's the vehicle with you in, please, right?
Yes. Thank you, Dan. And first and foremost, I want to thank you for your generous support toward the Haitian community and myself, Bernard. And so what we've been working on in terms of like the ambulance, we have the ambulance in Belance, and this was the first ambulance. And imagine Belance is a town of 158,000 people, where there is no hospital, no doctors, only like a couple of nurses. So could you, in contrast, in Providence is 179,000, and then there are dozens of hospitals, and not including private care. So you can see the needs in Balance. And in regard to the work that I'm doing in Balance, so we also sending, like each year we send about like 40 children to school, because I know that education is very important. And when I came to this country, one thing that my parent told me, they was like, Bernard, this country give you opportunity to survive. In order for you to survive, you have to take school serious. That is the reason I'm giving back not only to the Haitian community in Rhode, and I'm also giving back to my country where I came from, because I know there is a significant need in Haiti. But with regard to the Rhode Island, in Rhode Island, as you know, that we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We were founded in 2013, and because the reason why we was founded, because there was a gap in our community. It was a huge gap in our community. Most of the decision was taken by other organizations, and then there was no Haitian and to help me navigate the American legal system. For instance, I went to community college of Rhode Island right after high school from Central High School. So I spent about like 4 years at community college, which is only 2 years program, because there was no Haitian organization to lead me, to help me navigate the American system with education process, how it works with scholarship, etc. So right after that, and went to Roger Williams University, and then I graduated from there, and I founded this organization with very handful of community leaders. We joined together, and then we create this platform. Ever since this organization has been created, so we've been doing so much work in the community as a leading Haitian organization in Rhode Island. First, we organized the Haitian Heritage Month flag at the State House. We organized right now. We have English literacy and computer literacy and financial literacy course we provide in our community. So for those who came to this country who doesn't know how to speak English, they will be able to learn to write their names. Because one thing that I learned, if you don't know how to write your name, if you're not comfortable with computer or laptop, you will be behind with the with just to compete with the American folks. So because of that, and I know that once you invest in education, you invest in such program like computer literacy, English literacy, financial literacy, that will help not only the Haitian community, but it's also helping the Rhode Island community, because we need folks to know how to write in order for them to manage or just to function. If they don't know how to write, if they don't know how to speak, if they don't know how to use the computer. So beside that, during this crisis, during this COVID-19, what we've been doing in term of provide services, such as we still have the English program on every night, and then we meet like Monday and Wednesday and Fridays. We have a volunteers from Brown University, and just make sure they sit down with the students one-on-one, and then sometimes they even talk with them, ask them about the situation. They're not going crazy, because we know that there's a lot of emotional and mental health issue going on due to COVID-19. And then we receive grant from United Way, and also with an foundation, also from Office of City Council, Matos, the mayor office, and we were able to distribute we were able to serve over 500 Haitians with kits with ethnic food. And then we also provide about 41 gift card of $150 each of them to undocumented families in our community. So we do a lot of translation too as well. And you were there when I reached out to you, and then also Sabina Matos, to ask what was what resources they have available for the Haitian community in Rhode Island. And we've been doing a lot of work in terms of like with the census to make sure that they register for the census, because we know that's the only way for the elected officials just to identify which district we have Haitians, and then how much impact and what the needs are. So those are the things that we've been doing, and we also make sure that we're working with religious leaders like the pastors, like for instance yesterday.
I'll stop you there, because I'm going to get back to you about the phone call we had yesterday with the pastors, but stay right there. I just want to make sure I got enough time here for my other buddy here, Bernard Parsons. Bernard, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. You know, you and I have, so hopefully we got Bernard still there. We might have lost him, Ben.
He said thank you, and then he left.
No,
I don't know why. I don't know why. I have him. Yeah, Bernard, come back in. I'll text him.
Okay.
But Bernard, finish your point, I guess.
Yes, we'll finish it on talk, and then we'll finish with Bernard Parsons when he gets on here, because I do want to talk to him.
Yes. Oh, he's back. He's back.
Good.
He's
Bernard,
back.
hang in there. I'll talk to you right now. Are you still there?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I'm here.
Good, Bernard. So, you know, you're living in Pawtucket now? Are you in Pawtucket now or Providence? Yeah, and I had your son in a few months ago, maybe a year ago, and he was going to St. Ray's. How did that make out?
No, he goes to LaSalle.
LaSalle, excuse me, it was LaSalle, yes. And
he's doing good there. He likes it there.
Yeah, and then the school got cut short, right? So hopefully he's been able to get the all the education. How's that been working out for him?
He's been doing it online like everybody else. I'm just glad the year's over.
Yeah. Today was the last day, I think, something like that.
No, his was on the 29th.
Okay, the 29th. So
the 29th.
So I know that you've been you help a lot of people. You don't need to, you step up, not only your family, but also we talked to a family that you helped transfer someone from Florida into Rhode Island, and so you're very active in the community in your own way, and so tell us a little bit about what you're seeing in terms of the impact that the COVID-19 is having on the the group of, your network, your close network. You told me about an uncle that might have contracted the virus, and just give us a little thought about how it's impacting you and how it's, what we should be doing to help out more.
Well, it's a cousin of mine. He's only a couple years younger than me. So what I did was I invited his sister to come to my house. She's right here.
Nice. Hello there.
Lisa, how you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Good. Yeah.
But when did he contract that?
I really can't.
He got it while he's been in the summit. He's had it twice.
Oh, twice. Now, is it from work? Was he at work when he you think that he got infected?
No, he had a stroke back in December.
Okay.
So he's been in a nursing home since January.
Okay.
And he actually contracted the COVID while he was in the nursing home. Not sure if he got it from one of the staff or the new roommate that they gave him before they tested him and put him in the same room as my brother. Not really sure when he contracted it. I just know he had it.
Yes.
He's better now. He tested negative 2 times now, so he's far as that, he's doing better. Every day is a new day. It's, study goes the race.
Yeah. So the reason I wanted Bernard to come on was, everybody out there, dealing or getting impacted by the virus, both financially, health-wise, like you just said, in your family, Bernard. And I think you're very representative of many families out there. So on the work, what has happened like in the work? Have you been able to get the unemployment qualified yourself and your niece? And how has that been going? Has it been smooth? Hopefully it has, but if it hasn't, tell me a little bit about that. Have you been able to?
I work.
Yeah, no, I never applied for that. My girlfriend, she's frontline worker, so I mean she works every day. You know what I mean? We're managing with 2 kids, we're doing the best we can for our 2 kids.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people out there, are suffering probably a little worse than us, but I mean, we're managing. Hopefully things will turn around where other people can find jobs and be able to take care of their kids as well.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the check I wanted to have, and encouraging people who are watching this broadcast that, if you have issues that you think that are important, you should call our office at 222-2371. We're certainly there, and then Bernard can attest to the fact that my door is always open, right, Bernard?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, both Bernard.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I've been to your office quite a few times, no problem.
No problem. That's right. That's the message that I want you to deliver for me, is that, people, sometimes shy away because, that person's, general officer or a mayor or something like that. If I'm not having a phone call going on or a meeting, my door's open and people walk in and we try to help out. So, and Bernard's been, go ahead, Bernard.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
All right. See, this is a quick story. This is how I met you. I was at a place and I was talking to homeless people. And at the end, you said, I'm going to give you my phone number. I give you my word. Anytime you call me, I'm going to answer my phone. But I was saying to myself, please. He's like everybody else. Ever since I've had your number, anytime I text you, anytime I call you, anytime I need help with a situation, I'm invited to your office. You step right in. And if you can help me, you've always helped me out. So to me, you're a good guy.
Well, Bernard, I appreciate you saying that. And that's that's something that you also, reaching out is very important. And so you're doing your part. And as I started earlier, I don't need to get into the particulars, but I want people to know that you got a real big heart, and you helped somebody in a family out in a circumstance that bringing to our attention, something that was very important to that family, and we were able to, step in and help out. But if you don't step in, Bernard,
Absolutely.
right? I don't know. And if you don't step in, then how can, we can't help. So that's why I wanted to have you on, right? Talk about what's happening with this virus, and everything related to your family. I'm glad you're doing well. I apologize for him because I said St. Ray's. It should have been LaSalle. I'm sure they got a lot of a rivalry going on with the St. Ray's. So best of luck, and make sure you stay in touch with us, Bernard.
I absolutely will. You know that.
Yeah, you got it. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Bernard George.
Yes.
Finish up, we got about 3 or 4 minutes. Tell us about the conversation we had with the pastors yesterday, and also so that we can let people know that they were looking for options to help some people. We're identifying that, and then people who are able to, they can step up as well. So tell us a little bit about that conversation with the pastors and the churches that you're working with.
Yes. First, Jen, I'm very proud of your leadership, and I know you've been around for the Haitian community since day one. When I met you, I remember reach out to you and to your office. You right immediately. You told me, "Oh, Bernard, we would like to meet." So as long as if you need my help, I would be around. I would be there just to help you. So I bring Galen with me, and then with the pastor Paul's son, and who was in the military. It was a good conversation ever since we clicked together. And you've been around since day one. You never let me down. Not only me, you never let the Haitian community down. And then yesterday, so we coordinate. We coordinate because it's always good not only to hear from me the need of the Haitian community in Rhode Island. It's always good just to hear from religious leaders. And yesterday we had like three pastors on the line. We had one from Ebenezer Church in Pawtucket, which is Pastor Michel. We had also Pastor Michel from Pawtucket again, and we have from Providence Wildly. So one of they're all going through the same situation, the same problem. They're looking for resources. There's lack of resources to the Haitian community in Rhode Island. And for instance, from Pastor Michel, there have been 24 people have been affected with the COVID-19 in his church. And he doesn't have resources to support them, to help them. And that's Pastor Michel. And Pastor Michel also have the same problem. People who have been affected, and I mean, if some of his clients have been affected, and then he also dealing with undocumented families, which is they don't have the resources. They says they need help, and they're looking for help from organization, from elected officials. They don't know how to apply. For instance, I've been trying my best just to help them apply for PPP loan, and then not on to help in the Haitian community apply for PPP loan, unemployment, and then also make sure with the social distance, inform them about the social distance, and not only the social distance, I also go to the radio station, some of the Haitian radio station, just to talk about this issue. Since day one, we've been doing that. Since day one, we've been doing it in our community. But there is a big needs in our community. With the small grant we receive from United Way, from the United Way, and then the office of Sabrina Matos, the CBDG grant does that enough to support the Haitian community. We have a very large Haitian certificate in Rhode Island, and then the census can reveal that we have a very, very large Haitian certificate in Rhode Island. So meaning that they are confronted with a numbers of challenges, language buried, and access to resources. It's just it's it's a mess. And then without receiving proper resources, I know Dan, you've been around. You give a lot of advice. You have been connecting me with a lot of great folks just to help me out. I know also too you give over 100 face shield and to our community. And it's just like we're grateful for that. We're grateful for that. So we wish that we can have the resources. And if we do receive the resources grant, then you see the work that we're doing with the small grant, with the small amount of grant we have from some of the organization. You see what we've been doing, meaning that if we receive enough funding to support the Haitian as a leading organization, we will make sure it's going to the right people, to the folks who need it, like the seniors, the undocumented folks, the folks who lost their jobs. So those are the folks that we're going to make sure that they get to the resources, they get the needs they want.
So Bernard, we're out of time, but you did good. And but I would say that to kind of wrap it up, you kind of summarize what I heard from the pastors was, because they weren't open as a church, a lot of the donations that they receive when they have their services, they have been absent from, and a lot of the number of the families that have not been employed, are having trouble again getting the resources. So we need to rally behind everybody that has a need right now. This COVID-19 is, really knocked the crap out of a lot of us, and that's why I asked you to come on. I know that you're a big supporter of people who, in your community, and we need to make sure that all 39 cities and towns, every community and every city and town in the state of Rhode Island is important. So, and the Haitian community is important. So people who are listening, they want to help out what Bernard talked about. We can certainly get them in the right spot. 222-2371. Contact our office. And Bernard, thank you for being here. We'll stay in. We'll definitely follow up before the end of the week to try to get a business, get a plan together to be as helpful as we can, and get the resources that you need to help the families that need the help. The state of Rhode Island is very generous, and hopefully we're going to be able to pool together and rally around one another, and that's a good cause. So thank you so much for being here, Bernard.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, that's a wrap. Let's stay healthy. We'll be back again on Tuesday with our business call, and then again on Wednesday next week. And we'll have a couple people talking about real life things. And if you want to have a voice on what's going on and something's happening that, especially related to the COVID-19 or the small businesses in the community or any related matter, give us a call, 222-2371. We'll answer the call, and we'll try to do our best to help out. So until we, get back together, stay safe. Let's make sure we support the state of Rhode Island. And again, for the first part of the program, let's make sure that we're doing everything humanly possible to create a calming situation in the state. The next 72 hours is going to be very important to us. Let's make sure we're part of the calming effect, and support that, and make sure that we do everything we can to make sure that the state of Rhode Island stays in good shape. So thank you with that. Good night. Thank you.